Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out what I believe they're calling a pre-alpha version of Next Car Game by Bugbear Entertainment. This is an upcoming physics-based, soft-body, physics-modeled racing game. For those of you familiar, similar in some ways to something like BeamNG Drive, which you might have enjoyed. I did a video of that one a little while ago, and this is a very, very promising and very exciting looking upcoming game that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. And the demo that they're giving us here that we're going to be playing around with, at least at the beginning of the video, is going to give us a chance to really, really mess with the physics system of this. As you can tell, there's quite a few very detailed bit of controls shown here in this front screen. But we're probably just going to mess around for a little bit and then maybe show off a race or two before we wrap things up. So let's start out our demo here and see what we can see. So first off, we start out in this pretty nasty looking Destruction Derby style arena. Well, maybe not arena is the right word, but configuration anyway. And what I'm going to try to do here, if we get a little bit lucky, is try and orient myself and the other cars into going through this grinder so you can see just how lovely it looks when these cars fall apart. Now, if I could get some of the other cars to come after me, that would be ideal, because it's very satisfying seeing them all go through here. They will probably come to their senses soon enough, but I can also repair my car. There's one. Oh, is it gonna do it? I think it's being dissuaded by the spinning rotors. Come on, come at me. There it goes. Well, that one didn't get quite as squished as I did in this particular case. But look off in the distance, there's all sorts of bizarre things going on in this arena. I should really just reset my car completely. Actually, repair all is what I was after. Oh, the second I repair, someone smashes into me. So what is soft body physics modeling, in case you're not familiar? Well, it's basically the thing that allows the polygons that make up this car to split and splinter apart into basically an infinite configuration of possibilities instead of going through a bunch of pre-scripted sort of algorithms like you might expecting something like maybe Grand Theft Auto, where you notice a car can be bent in a certain number of ways, but that's really all that's possible. With this, as far as I know, you can pretty much break this down to a tiny little cube. And in fact, I'm going to try my best to show that off to you. And as you can tell, there's a lot of other objects that break apart in very satisfying ways, aside from even just your car, which is one of the things that I think is a bit different from something like BeamNG Drive. Not only will this have very well-realized environments and locales to race through, but it is also going to have tons and tons of destructible scenery on top of just the pretty looks and the pretty cars and everything. And it's actually holding its own very well for frame rate based on how many splinters of these boxes and chunks have fallen apart. I'm actually quite impressed that it's still holding at a steady 60 all through all of this. Wow, that was crazy. So I'm going to go look around in this arena. I haven't really spent much time here, but it looks like it is completely filled to the brim with silly things to do. So I'm going to try and do my best to see as many of those as possible. That was surprisingly detrimental to my car there. That's fine, actually. That's kind of what we're after. So let's repair that. I want to see if I can maybe just back into the way of this hammer very gently, so I can see maybe getting the most out of what kind of damage to expect. Oh, yeah, that's pretty wild. So these guys that made this game are actually the same people who made the Flatout series, so they're actually not newcomers or anything to making racing games. And I think this is going to be by far their most detailed physics system ever. I know Flatout has had a reasonable amount of destructibility in it, but it's not really a series that I've been very well acquainted with. So this is kind of my first real run with them, although I've been told quite a few times I should definitely check into Flatout. But, you know, this so far has been very impressive to me. Might be a few shortcomings so far with the AI that I've noticed, but that's particularly as it pertains to specifically racing, not so much the Destruction Derby oriented modes, because there are a bit of a variety, and, you know, stuff like that's a little bit goofy at times. I was sort of making, and I know that it's a little frustrating sometimes to make these comparisons, but I think it is also a little bit useful. Oh, that was crazy. Did you see that break apart? It is a little useful sometimes to compare this to something like BeamNG Drive, and so far as I'm able to tell, this feels like a little bit more like an arcade-oriented but still somewhat simulatory experience, where BeamNG Drive seems to be very strictly sort of almost something that you could use to... Oh, that was brutal. To see something like maybe what damage modeling might look like if you're doing crash tests for like a, you know, sort of an industrial purpose to try and actually figure out scientific data. Not that I'm saying it's quite that accurate or anything, but it definitely feels a little bit more clinical than this one, which seems more oriented towards just straight up having fun with how goofy and over the top things can be. And I think there's room for both of those approaches, and in fact, I think I may even be able to be corrected in the long-term approach, because I think they might both end up converging on a similar goal in the end, because neither of them are actually finished at this point. So I got to keep my perspective as it comes to this, and it completely astounds me that the other executable in this set of 2 here was writing itself off as a pre-alpha. I can't wrap my mind around that as a possibility. Nothing about this seems pre-alpha, but I guess when you're dealing with like a very well-oiled machine when it comes to making a game in a certain sort of a genre, maybe their approach as, building something might end up being a little bit geared more towards front-loading and then further refining. So, I mean, if this is the pre-alpha is what I'm trying to say, then, like, how is it going to look when it's done? I imagine it's just going to be more and more built upon based on what's already here, which is totally fine. I'm totally cool with that, and thus far, this is all really impressive and really fun, which is really all you could ask for, right? Oh, I wish there were some more guardrails there, and I wish my car was not so destroyed so I could maybe make it around. This is like a giant Hot Wheels track or something, which I'm totally cool with as well. I've always wanted a giant Hot Wheels track. I guess that's why I have games like Mod Nation Racers. Can I make this jump? Yes, I can. Now I just gotta not go around this turn. Oh, I didn't quite make it. Decent sense of weight as we hit the ground there. That's kind of one of the things that I look for. The sense of weight, the sense of inertia, the way things slam into each other, how the deformation actually feels. For the most part, all quite good. As it pertains to the actual race handling, maybe some things that could still use a little bit of fine-tuning, but if we're looking at a pre-alpha, it's really hard to judge very much, right? This is just strictly a preliminary look at something that still has a long way to go, and it already looks this good. Anyway, I've kind of beaten that point to death. Let's go up this ramp and see how high we can get up on top of this, because I think there's some stuff we can, like, break through. Oh, yeah, there's all of these boards are totally breakable. That's awesome. Look at all those bits falling apart, and there's barrels on everything. My goodness. All totally smooth, too. I have to say this game is very well optimized. I've not seen a single frame rate drop thus far. I'd love to, like, skid through this if I could. What is my handbrake? Ooh, that was actually a pretty satisfying turn there. Okay, so I was sort of working on figuring out my handbrake and my camera at the same time. Let's go check out this spider, or maybe let's go up here. There's so many things to do, I don't know which one to do. I'm having ADD problems right now. What's this? Oh, this is some kind of a pit. I guess these must be the wreckage and the remnants of the other cars that were smashing around earlier, and this looks like some sort of a Plinko-type machine, or a Pachinko-type machine, either one. Let's see if we can get up there. I'd love to see what happens as we fall down. And this one actually has guardrails, so I actually stand a chance of making it up. Maybe I'm used to more the control styles of something like Burnout, where it seems like you can go pretty fast and also turn extremely fast. This game is not quite as forgiving in that respect. If you try to go fast and then you want to turn, you're going to end up skidding out pretty hardcore. And a lot of the times the AI is pretty ruthless as well. So you'll find yourself in a situation, and I should have gone all the way up, oh well. You'll find yourself in a situation where it seems like all the AI wants to do is, like, turn you backward, which is very frustrating when you're trying to have a serious race, right? Like, you want to just go as fast as you can, and all that keeps happening is you just end up facing the other direction, have to restart. So I'm sure that's a thing that would get worked out a little bit with balancing as more time is spent working on those little types of details. Oh my goodness, did you see the front of the car get all bent up? So in BeamNG Drive, I kept basically taking the car down to the same few crashes and trying to, like, make them as damaging as possible. This game seems to have zero shortage of different ways to destroy the car, which I find very satisfying and fun. And the fact that they built this little obstacle course here to try and wreck the car as much as possible kind of really plays to the sense that I'm after, which is smashing stuff is really entertaining, man. That's just how it is. Yeah, my car did not survive that very well, and that was just this one bar spinning. What if we were to find a situation where maybe there's, like, about 100 of those spinning bars? I have a feeling there is such a thing. Now I just have to find it. I'm not sure where it is, actually. I ended up stumbling into it by accident one time. Oh, there it is. Yeah, let's see what happens here if we could turn our car into just a tiny little cube. Really hard to argue with this physics modeling, right? I mean, look at what's going on right now. Not a single frame drop. This car is getting demolished. Sorry if this is making you a little dizzy. I'm trying to hold on to the camera, but things are smashing so fast I can't really keep good control of things. Yeah, there's not a whole lot left. This is turning out to be quite a disaster for our driver today. If there was a person in there, I certainly hope there wasn't. There's not much of one left at this point. We're almost shaved down to the point of being a pinball with 2 conjoined wheels. That's pretty detrimental damage. I don't think we're going to make it off of this race course like this. You know, the one thing I haven't seen anybody really do yet... Oh god, I can still spin my wheel. Okay, so that's a little ridiculous, but... I feel like I'm freaking Kirby or something, turning into a motorcycle. The one thing I haven't really seen anyone try to do yet is model a deflated tire. I mean, I've seen rims get distorted and bent, but I've never really seen a tire just completely lose pressure in a game like this. I've seen it happen in Grand Theft Auto and things where it's, like, pre-scripted, but for some reason that just seems like a more difficult thing to have happen in this sort of an environment. I guess because you're dealing with, like, pseudo-air pressure when everything else is more just about deformation. This is more about, like, it has a set of properties to it. And again, I guess metal all has properties. Well, I guess most of the properties of the materials that are being messed around with in this physics simulation tend to be very similar. You know, most of the metal bars are all made out of pretty much the same material with the exception of the wheels. And, you know, there's bits of plastic and various fabrics and stuff as well inside, but that's not really a thing that comes up very often. Let's do one more repair. We're going to do a little bit more of this, and then we'll maybe head into an actual race. Oh, I got to reset my car, otherwise it's not going to do me a whole lot of good, is it? I really enjoy seeing the car get smashed around in this maze of death. I'm not even trying to stay on it. I just want to see what happens as it gets smashed around. Like, how small of a chunk can be possibly left of this car? And it's really satisfying when you get into the actual race modes that there are actually bits of destructible environment that you may end up running into by accident, or like stacks of tires that line the sides of the road that if one of the AI companions, or adversaries rather, gets knocked into, it's actually going to pose an actual problem for you as a driver, to have to now navigate around 100 tires that have just laid out across the track. So from a gameplay perspective and from a design perspective, that becomes rather difficult. Like, how do you balance for that type of thing? Where basically the AI could just completely destroy a race. Like, there's not a way to necessarily easily get around that unless everybody comes to a complete stop, which is kind of one of those reasons that maybe those wildcard elements have often been completely neglected in other racing games. So it's going to be really cool to see how the developer balances for those types of issues and still makes the game fast and quite playable, as I imagine they will. So, alright, this car is just so wrecked, and we're not even done yet. The thing could still... It seems to find its way into one of these corners after a while. It's the... I guess entropy only goes so far or something. Can we reset out? Yeah, let's fix this one more time. Let's see if there's like one more locale that we could visit before we maybe head on over to some proper races and see what goes on over there. I kind of want to go mess with this spider, but I also want to check out this cage and see if I can maybe do some flippy spins. Oh, look at the shadows. That is awesome. They're so detailed. I have this set on the highest settings, by the way, which is also basically due to the fact that I have some pretty serious graphical horsepower as far as my hardware goes. I have 2 GTX 770s in my computer, so I am able to push this pretty much to the limit, but rest assured, it is very well optimized on top of that too. So, and it also scales very well. There's a lot of different settings that you can mess around with, and I have like really gratuitous stuff going on, like reflection mapping going on the bumpers and all the chrome and everything. You know, it's a really lovely looking game. I can't say that enough. And it keeps resetting me to the same age, so I guess we didn't get a whole lot out of this spinny capsule. Sort of looks like it's straight out of a circus. Can I launch myself through this jet engine? Is this a way that I can destroy myself? Oh yeah, there's a ramp over there. We're gonna have to do that. I could probably play with this thing for like 2 hours. There's also like I can shoot blocks at stuff. I'm not sure what the deal is with that quite yet. Oh, and there's a super high ramp I'm gonna have to go up to. Alright, so maybe we're going to be here for a few minutes. Pardon me if this video is a little long. I can't contain myself when it comes to games like this. I just simply can't get enough smashing things. Like, physics-enabled games just make me lose my junk when it comes to this. Alright, so that didn't quite work out as well as I was hoping. Let's see if the spider can maybe finish us off in a more practical fashion. How do I get a good look over top? because I'm awfully close up on my car right now. Let's see if we can put in reverse and just land right under one of these spider feet and see what this thing is going to do to us. Who even thought of this? Making a giant spider to smash a car under is so silly, but so awesome at the same time. You know, I think it really shows a lot to be able to have a healthy sense of humor when it comes to a game in general. Like, I mean, not every game is that really appropriate for, but something like this, like, just revel in the insanity that's going on. I think everyone will have a more enjoyable time, and I really appreciate that the developers took that sort of an approach, as opposed to making this more clinical and dry. And there's still AI running around and falling off of things. Okay, this car is screwed already. Reset. Let's see if we can get up this massive ramp. Where was that? Okay, I'm going to get a nice run up, and then we're going to go, as long as these AI guys don't end up in my way, we're going to try and make a run up this ramp as high as possible. And I think there is actually an end to this world. I just don't really want to see it for the moment. We're just going to try and launch. See what kind of damage we do from gravity by itself. We're going to have to adjust here after this crusher and not run into anything that's going to flip us over. Like car parts, which happen to be everywhere. Oh, there's all those barrels stacked up. I want to play with them too. Alright, smash, smash, smash. I'm losing a little bit of inertia every time I hit one of these. But that is the test, isn't it? Alright, well, we didn't quite make it up the whole ramp, but we got a pretty good run up. A little sad that it didn't launch off the top, though. That would have been quite satisfying. Alright, that was a little anticlimactic, let's be honest. Repair all. What else was there? Oh, the barrels. I wanted to see what happens with those. Let's get one more run up. Okay, I promise, last time. Honestly, it's the best problem you could possibly have if your biggest issue right now is, like, I can't stop launching myself off of things. Alright, here we go. Oh, I almost cleared the whole thing. I didn't want to clear the whole thing. I wanted to actually crash right into the middle of all of those, so I probably shouldn't have had quite that good of a run-up. Why don't we do that a bit less this time? Or I think there's actually more over here. I don't even have to stop. Maybe these were designed to be attacked one after another. And each one of these barrels has its own dynamic shadowing going on. It looks like everything is going on completely fluidly. I think the barrels, do they even deform on top of it? Can I knock into some barrels and see what... Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're getting bent. Whoa, trying to get a good... Yeah, that was totally a bent barrel there. So I hope this gives you a reasonable view. I mean, yeah, this works with the cars as well, in case you were wondering. They all have the same level of detail going on with them. Oh, I didn't try and launch into those baskets over there. I'm betting I'm not going to be particularly successful with that. But I can't resist the idea... Oh, wow, it actually set me in the right place. Can't resist the idea of trying just about everything that's here. I just don't want to launch myself into that spider again. Alright, let's see if we can just get a single point on this setup of bizarre basketball hoops. They have grinders under them, by the way, in case you're wondering, so we actually do get rewarded. Oh, the camera angle even changes. This is sort of like skee-ball. Oh, we made it right in on the first go. So let's just hope that the grinder takes care of business and that we don't end up... Yeah, alright. Well, let's say it did. Look at all the glass and shattered bits of car falling through. Oh, man, I would love to throw the entire Destruction Derby through this machine and see what happens to them all. Anyway, I think what we'll do is we will back out of this. We'll launch back into a proper Destruction Derby in the actual arena, and maybe after that we'll do one race, and then we'll call it a day. But so far, so good. Next car game gets a huge thumbs up, but we will be right back. Alright, so we are now in the game proper. I should warn you again, this is technically a pre-alpha build, so the majority of features are not quite available and fleshed out just yet. In fact, we only have a couple of options that we can pick from here. As far as the cars go, we've just got this one here. The American and the European cars, really the only things that we've got going, both of which serve their own individual purposes, but for the sake of Destruction Derby, I think this is going to be the more satisfying car to go with. Wouldn't you say? Anyway, let's just jump right into one. None of these are really... No, I don't think any of these options are going to be very useful for us to see. So we'll go race, and then we have a lot of options that we can check from here. We've got a derby stadium of 24 cars or 12 cars. Then we can do a gravel race with 24 cars, a tarmac race with 24 cars, and then alternates of both of those with 12. And then there's a small 2-car race, which I'm not even sure I noticed before. And then, of course, practice if you just want to go around in circles for a little bit without people necessarily interfering. I think all of these are very useful to have. But I find that the 24-car setups can be, although wonderful to see in action, a little bit on the frustrating side in terms of how much is attacking you all at once. But for the sake of destruction derbies, 24 cars seems to be the way to be. The more destruction, the better, right? You want to revel in it. So we'll load up, and we'll take this for a ride and see how long we can last. I mean, you get a good idea from what we had shown previously of just quite how in-depth this damage modeling is, and that's really where the heart of the game lies, is this is just inherently fun. Smashing things is fun, racing things and then smashing them is fun, and any combination of those two elements, however they come together, seems to be a lovely thing for us to do. So here we go. We're going to get a quick little overview of the arena before we start crashing into each other. The frame rate's a little bit lower here, not staying at a perfectly stable 60 in this case because we've got a lot of other shader effects going on, but it is actually picking up a little bit as we make our rounds around the arena. Anyway, let's start smashing some stuff up. Everybody's going to collide in the center. I'm going to do the smart thing and actually back up and let them do that so we can get a good view. Oh, it should be mentioned also what I just mentioned about the frame rate. Like, this game, I'm sure, is still in the process of being optimized for various different situations, so just because it wasn't 100% perfect at every moment doesn't mean that it won't get better later on, so don't take that the wrong way. I wasn't trying to condemn the game for having a few moments of less than 100% dead-on smooth 60 frames per second action. It's still quite fun and quite playable. And this is, again, with all the settings all the way up as far as they go. I also imagine as the AI starts to get eliminated, we will start to notice maybe some frame rate picks up a little bit, because less effects going on at the same time would certainly help us. So you'll probably notice the bottom left corner there, we've got a very Destruction Derby style meter showing us what our damage zones are. Of course, our engine being in the front on this car, it is actually in the back on the European. So that's something to keep in mind. We kind of don't want that to turn red if can be helped. So we're going to try and buffer our damage by hopefully taking most of it to the back part of the car, at least when we can manage it. It's not always possible. And of course, some of these cars are just going to get stuck in the tires over here, which if you're being particularly smart about, you might be able to take advantage of to try and get some easy crashes in. That dude seemed to be on fire, so he's probably not going to last a whole lot longer if he hadn't already lost. Maybe I could slide into some of these. If you want to get really creative and pull some like Jason Statham moves, I'm sure you could do some slides sideways into some of these other guys and see if maybe you turn that into an easy victory, but I'm not sure how easy any victories are going to be here. Opponents are ticking down little by little. We're down to 13 now. Again, I believe starting at, 24. So I think most of them are going to work their way dead to each other anyway. They're going to destroy each other over time. All I really need to do is just kind of not get in the way and just wait it out, and eventually there'll be a handful of opponents left that I can hopefully take down at the end. That's usually my strategy for Destruction Derbies anyway. Sort of the same strategy I would use like for dodgeball in high school. Just let everybody else take each other out and see if I can come out the victor at the end. I guess sort of the same kind of strategy you might even use for something like Call of Duty. A bunch of people all shooting at each other, wait for them to finish, and then take out the stragglers after. It's an opportunistic method of predation in this case. So we're down to 10 cars now. I think most of them seem to be rather damaged. They're not making a lot of speed around the course, and that was a really bad hit that I probably shouldn't have taken. And now I'm at critical damage. You'll notice my engine is now black, which is not looking good for me. I may not make it out of this one the winner. I've got 0 takedowns, by the way, which doesn't exactly make me the most proud. Worth mentioning also, the game sounds all really good. If you're one of the people who's a little bit of a purist when it comes to having, really lovely cranking engine sounds, and I know I've certainly been around some people that have been involved with racing and just absolutely love to blast the audio, I think you'd probably not be disappointed with this. It feels pretty substantial. If you turn it way up, it feels like there's some nice deep revving bass going on in the middle of it, which certainly packs a punch if you've got the stereo for it. That was... I can't even tell what it is. The cars are so crunched up sometimes, I'm not sure if I'm hitting an American or European car. And I'm sure, by the way, that there's going to be a much larger set of diversity when it comes to the vehicles that we're going to be driving. This is just, again, pre-alpha. There's no front on that car, and look at it go. There's still 4 more opponents. This is one of the better runs, I guess, that have lasted this long. Largely just due to me staying out of the way. And I'm going to make sure if I hit anything, it's going to be with the right front side of my hood here. And I'm not sure how I'm going to be able to control that, but I'm going to try my best. Hey, that actually worked. I didn't get a takedown, but we're down to 2 opponents, which is very close to being finished now. And I think both of the opponents are actually right in front of me. Uh-oh, this could be bad. Let's zoom out of the way and hope I don't back into somebody. Oh, this guy's out for blood. He's chasing me down. Oh, I think he forgot about me. The other car got back involved again. Okay, one of these is going to kill the other one, and then I'm going to try and take out the last one that remains and see if I can make it through. Oh, he's coming after me. If he hits my back, I don't think it'll kill me, though. Also, I got to keep both of them. Oh, God. Ah, it's exactly the wrong way. I didn't want that to land on that side. Well, I totally deserve to lose in that case. No problems. Let's go back to the garage, and we will set up one more little race here before we head out. I think we'll do like a 12 car on gravel or something like that. I think the gravel course is a little bit more enjoyable for me, and we'll do the European car for this one. As far as the handling goes, like I said earlier, it feels fine. I still think it could use a little bit of tuning, though. So we'll do 12 car gravel, and of course you can set it to automatic or manual. For the sake of this, I'm not exactly the best at using manual, so we'll just go with automatic to prevent any embarrassment on my behalf. So if I remember correctly, this was not the one. There was one that had pylons that I could smash into and they'd break apart. I think, yeah, this being more the dirt-oriented course. Not quite as much in terms of destructibility, but there are some tires all around. Those signs all break apart, and you will get a good sense of rather dramatic, well-rendered, well-realized locations that we'll be able to race around here. Oh, my car's already got cracks in the back windshield. That's not very good. So as usual, they start you at the back of the pack. And as you can see, these cars are all going to start jockeying pretty hard at the beginning. This camera angle is not exactly ideal. There are a number of different ones that we can choose from. I'm just using a 360 controller, by the way, to operate, and, you know, feels great with the 360 controller. I imagine you could also do just fine with a mouse and keyboard if you really needed to. But, you know, anybody that's really playing a racing game seriously, you're probably going to want a little bit more granular control than, you know, the analog, or the digital on-off of an arrow key, I would think, anyway. I'm sure some people do just fine with it, though. And I think this is probably the best view for me to get a reasonable idea of how we're going to be able to proceed forward. Without smashing into too much stuff. All these tires are individual tires, by the way. If I smash these walls, they all break apart. I believe the fences also operate in a similar fashion. Don't expect me to do well on this race. I'm just trying not to completely lose the pack right now. Had I jumped in with the 24 car option, I think probably right away what would have happened is I would have gotten spun around to be in reverse, and then everybody would have started to lap me right away, which is not that fun. You know, you do that 3 or 4 times in a row, and it's like, well, you know, I've played some rally games in the past. I've never enjoyed it when this happens. It's not really any fun trying to race competitively and also being turned around at the same time, whether that be because cars hit me or because I screwed myself by going off the track. For the most part, I'm not awful at racing games. I know this footage right now is totally betraying that statement, but trust me, I have spent a lot of hours playing dirt. It's one of my favorites, actually. I really do enjoy a rally game every now and then. And that one, I feel, is probably one of the best ones going. And see, there's an example of what I'm talking about. It seems to happen constantly. I didn't know these guys were so well trained in pit maneuvers. That's not exactly what he did, but the same kind of outcome. So now I'm in last place. I can try and catch up a little bit here, but odds are not particularly likely that I'm going to. And also I have critical damage, so there's a lot of factors going all at the same time. Whether the AI decides to spill a bunch of tires onto the road, whether you just make a slight misstep in your angles trying to find your racing lines, you end up pushing yourself slightly off the track. You can't probably recover from that. You know, the AI could spin you around. There's all kinds of factors that could make you have to play this over and over again. So this is the kind of stuff that I'm hoping they'll balance out when we get further toward perhaps a finished version of the game. But it might still be a little while yet. But anyway, if you're looking for some sort of an overall perspective, I'm just going to hit these tires here for fun. You can see them all break apart. If you're looking for any overall perspective on my opinions of the game so far, it's all pretty very, well, pretty much entirely positive, minus some of the strict racing stuff, which I find can be a little bit on the frustrating side at times. I certainly like what it's going for. I just think that they could probably use a little bit more maybe user-friendliness when it comes to the balancing of how AI behaves and how you're able to actually navigate the course. I know it's very easy to say, like, I'm just terrible, and you're partially right. In this particular case, I did do particularly terrible, but when I was trying to race 100% to the best of my ability, I was finding that I was very often getting like 2 laps in, and then one little silly slip-up will happen, and then you got to do the whole race again. So if they're going to do some sort of a long-term circuit that involves, serious stakes to messing up, that is going to be kind of a game breaker. You can't play for 5 hours and then have your entire career ruined because the AI decided to turn you around all of a sudden, or because somebody pushed you into a telephone pole and you can't really recover. And I don't know what way they would choose to balance that out. I just hope that they do consider that going forward. But as far as the general, framework, the infrastructure of what's here right now, really, really good. I think this is a really positive thing, and I think it's going to turn out to be absolutely fantastic. And in fact, I don't really have a problem recommending that people grab this right now, if only for the playground that we were messing around with at the beginning of the video. I think it's very satisfying to mess around with, and I think there's a lot of fun to be had just in enjoying the physics modeling, provided you have a computer that can get the most out of it. So I think that's going to pretty much do it for Next Car Game. Thumbs up on this version right now. I think you should probably check it out. Links are going to be in the description. If you'd like to go grab this yourself, you can grab the pre-alpha version and the early access version, I guess I should say, right now if you are so inclined. And while you're in the description, feel free to check out some of my other information, my social media stuff like my Facebook page, my Twitter page, my Twitch page where I stream, and of course indie-impressions.com, which is my website where I aggregate every episode of Indie Impressions, and they're all sorted and categorized, so if you're looking for a specific type of game or a distribution model or even a payment style, you can find them all over there neatly arranged for your perusal. So anyway, that will do it for another day, guys. If you did enjoy this video, please do feel perhaps inclined, if you'd like, to leave a like. I do appreciate that very much, and any support on the series definitely gives me the impetus to continue doing this for as long as humanly possible. So your input is very valued, and please do leave some comments as well. I'd love to hear from you on what you think about Next Car Game, and in general, soft body physics modeled car games, whatever you think about those, I'd love to hear your opinions as well. So I will be back again tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll come back again for another one, and I will talk to you later. Have a good night.